Claudia from Harmate.ds, and in this video tutorial I'm going to teach you how you can create place cards for your Thanksgiving dinner. So to do it, we're going to be using some free resources online, and we're going to be designing with Adobe Illustrator. So the first thing you want to do is open Adobe Illustrator and create a new document. You want to select the option Print, and then from here you can select any size of paper you may have at home, so the paper you will print on. In my case it's going to be in DIN A4, so I'm going to be using this size, and you can select here the orientation, so I recommend you to do it in portrait, not in landscape. Then if you want to use letter size, feel free to use it. It doesn't matter, just simply select the size of your paper. Then you can add here a title, so we can name this Thanksgiving place cards, and we're gonna create the document. Okay, so now that you have the document, the first thing you want to do is you go to the rectangle tool, and you're gonna create a rectangle that occupies all the page. So we're gonna just simply click, drag and drop, and you have here your page. And then we're gonna go to transform, and we're gonna make sure there are no small pixels. You don't want things like this. You want it to be exactly the size of your page. Now once we have this, what we are gonna do is we're gonna divide this page into the scorecards that we are gonna create. So we're gonna create kind of a grid, and this grid is gonna be the one that we will use to design our place cards. So the easiest way to do this without having to calculate with your calculator is just simply you have this rectangle selected, you come here to transform, you want to make sure this is not connected, so you don't want the width and the height connected, you want it unconnected like this, and then you're going to come first to the width, and we're going to divide it in two because we want the scorecards to have this width. So we will have two in each page, and then we will divide the height in 4 to have 4 small rectangles, so at the end it will be 8 rectangles, 4 here and 4 here. Okay, so to do it, it's very easy. We want to start with the width, so we come here, we press bar, and we say divide by 2. Then we press intro, and there we have it, right? So it has automatically calculated for us the size. And now we're going to repeat the same with the height. So we come here and we say we want to divide it in 4. Now this rectangle, it's exactly an 1/8 part of this full paper we decided. So it doesn't matter what size you started on, it will automatically calculate for you. And now what we want to do is we want to place it on the top left corner, and now pressing Shift and Alt at the same time you want to move it to the other side of the page, and it will duplicate it, right? So now we're going to do the same. We're going to select these two and press Shift and Alt and move down, and now to repeat this we can press Command D 2 times, and it's repeating the last step with it. So now we have this grid. This grid, let me explain you how it will look like at the end. We will have here the name and the design you will see from your seat, and this is going to be folded in half, so this part is going to be the back, so that we can have it something like this. Let me explain you. We will have, we will have our paper like this, right? So this will be the front design, which is this area here, this area here, this and this. And then the back design will be this, this, this and this. You will see it much more clearer now when we start designing. But that was the first step, to create our grid and our layout. So now that it's perfectly calculated in exactly same sizes, so each of these parts is the same size as the other, then we can move to the next step. Before that, what I usually do is I select all these and I make the lines be in a lighter gray and even 0.5 if you have a good view, because then when we print it we can still see them and we can use them to fold and to cut, but it's not that hard. It doesn't bother that much on the design. So okay, now we have this layer here. We can name the layer grid, and then we can create a new layer where we are gonna be designing. So let's start designing. To create the background, I thought it would be a nice idea to be using some illustrations, some fall leaves. So all I did was coming here to Freepik and searching for fall leaves, and I found these ones very interesting. So we can open them and click here on the free download, and you will have a file with a zip that you can unzip, and it will look something like this. So you will have all the files inside the folder you have downloaded. Now you can either open the EPS or the A file in Illustrator. I just simply recommend you to open the A file because we are working on Illustrator, and that's what you get. So let's get rid of the background and this. And now we have all our illustrations. We simply select them all, Command C to copy. We come to our previous document, we make sure we're in the layer of design, and we press Command V to paste. So here we have our leaves. And we can even block the other layer to make sure we don't edit it. So you press here on the grid and now it's locked. You cannot edit nothing here. Okay, so coming back to our leaves, we're gonna select them all and coming here in the top right corner or in even any corner you want to make sure you press Shift and you scale down. Because if we don't press Shift, let me show you what happens. You are deforming the image, right? So we don't want that to happen. We want to press Shift and it will scale proportionally. Okay, so we're gonna make them small enough so that we can see them inside each one of these squares, rectangles we design. So this size, I think it's nice enough. Now let's make some zoom and a little bit less. Okay, and now we're gonna arrange them a little bit more randomly, right? So what I want here is to create a pattern that we can repeat seamlessly. So we want to arrange them in a way that we cannot see where the pattern begins and ends. Okay, doesn't matter how you arrange them. That's the magic of this tutorial. Each one will create a different pattern. So don't try to replicate exactly the same movements I did. Just simply move them around and have them arranged as you like the most. And now that we have them, you will select them all and come here to Object, Pattern, Make. Now we can say don't show this again, and it's gonna be displaying for us how this pattern would look like on a repeat. Okay, so let's make a little bit of zoom out. So Command minus, it's how you zoom out. Now we can see this area here in the middle, it's the pattern we are designing. Then all what's surrounding it, it's how it would look like once we repeat this tile. So this will be like the base of the pattern. Now as you can see, we have all these holes here, but we can quickly fix this. So to do it, let me explain you here. You can add a name to a pattern, so we can call it fall pattern. Then the tile type, you can select from here how you want them to be repeating. Okay, and from here, from this option, you can move like the tile. You can edit what's the space that it's exactly occupying this pattern, right? Okay, and what else do we have? Yeah, you can edit the width and the height of the tile from here too. So anyway, in general, what you're gonna be using is these options here and the tile. So now what we can see is that this leaf here, which is a little bit transparent, it's this one here, right? So if we move it, let's say here, it's gonna fill all the other areas of the pattern. So what we want to make sure is we move them all in a way that the pattern, you cannot see where it starts and where it ends, right? Something like this. So we are now seeing that these are the original elements that are repeating at the seamless pattern, but we cannot even see, when we look at the pattern, we cannot even see like this starting point, right? So that's what you want to achieve. You want to achieve to have like the same space between the elements, and you can even turn them. You don't need to have them all in the same direction, so you can have ones going down, you can even repeat them, so you can do plenty of things. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm gonna leave it like this. And in order to save this, all you have to do is double click outside. It looks like we lost everything, but if we come here to the swatch panels, which you can find under Windows Swatches, you will see now here we have the full pattern, right? So what's going to happen now, let me show you, because that's one of the fun parts. It's we come back to the layers, we unlock the grid because we want actually to select all these, copy, come to the, we can even create a new layer. We put it under here and we call it background. And we can, to paste on the same place that it was, because if we press Command V, you see it's placed like on the, it's placed actually at the middle of your screen. So if we're here, it will still paste in the middle, right? But what you want is to be pasted in the same area it was before. So you select the artboard where we are working and you press Command F, and now it's pasting. F, it's for front, so you can either do Command F or Command B. Let me show you. Command B, this, it's doing the same, so it's pasting in the same location but on front of what you have or at the back of what you have. Since we don't have anything in this layer, it's not really making any difference, but let's imagine we have this element in this layer. So let me move this element to the background layer, okay, and we have it here, right? So if we select this element and we press Command F, it's going to be pasting on the top of this element. You see, we have all the rectangles and then we have the leaf. But if we have this and we press Command B, it's going to be pasting at the back. So that's the difference. Doesn't matter right now, we just want. And these actually, we can even delete it, but we're going to leave it here for a while. Okay, so coming back to this, we are in the background layer. We want to move this to the design layer, and we are here in the background layer, and we copied the grid, right? So what we're gonna do is we are gonna select any of them. We're gonna get rid of the border, so we're gonna select no border, and here on the swatches panel to paint, we're gonna be using the full pattern. And look what's happening. The magic of the pattern is that it doesn't matter how we scale this, you see, we make it bigger, smaller, it's still repeating the pattern seamlessly, and that's so amazing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this pattern go like this. Is gonna be one scorecard, right? And well, actually, let's do it easier. We're gonna make it go like all the way. So now what we have to do is we can, since we have this blocked, if now we select everything from here and we then pressing Shift select over the biggest one we have created, the one with the pattern, now we have everything selected except the pattern, right? Because we pressed Shift and we unselected it. Now we can delete, and all we have here is the pattern occupying this background layer. So now we have like the background of our design, and we can even put a color behind it. So again, we select this big rectangle, we press copy, and now because we want it as a background, we're gonna press Command B to paste at the back end. And now we can save from here. We can select any color. Let's make it lighter, something like this. And now if we come to our layers, we see we have this rectangle with the pattern, and we have this one with the color and the background. And now I think if we move it down under the grid, we unselect the grid and we select everything from the grid, which you can do quickly by pressing here. Now if we make the grid transparent and we just have the borders, it's going to be better because when you print you will still see the borders, right? Okay, so again, let's block the grid, and I think since we are done with the background, we can block it too, and we can create a new layer which is going to be the texts. Okay, in this layer of texts, we're going to be adding again this, and these are the ones that will have the names, are the front of our design, and these other 4 are the back. Okay, so we're gonna start designing here. Let's start creating, maybe like, let's do some zoom. We can create a bar down here with the same color we were using, which by the way we can save. So let's go back to the background. Let's select this, which is the background color, and now we have the sample here, and we can add this as a new swatch. We can press OK, and we have now a new swatch with that color, which can help us a lot. Now let's block again this layer, let's come back to text, and now this rectangle we designed, we can have it without border and with the color that we saved, right? So this is allowing us to not have anything over the pattern, so it's like a clear background. And now with text tool we can type here Happy Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be using a free font called Allura for this wording. You can download it from Font Squirrel, so it's free as you see it. Download Allura, and I'm going to be using later on this other one called Aleo. So all you need to do is find them here in their website and download and install on your computer. Okay, so coming back to Illustrator, we're here, I'm using Allura, and to edit the text, you want to select it all, and up here you have your options. So I selected the font I wanted, I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, I'm gonna center it, and I'm gonna scale this in a way that it's small enough, and I'm gonna select these two, and I'm gonna make sure they are centered. So how do I do this? Once you have two things selected, it will appear up here these options. These options are for an aligning. So you want to make sure from here that it's aligned to selection, because you can also align to the artboard. I'm going to show you now the difference. And if we save, now we have aligned the selection, what's going to happen is if we press here, it's centering, right, vertically. Then if we press here, it's centering horizontally, but it's actually lying because the space here on the text, it's much bigger. So now that we have this again, if we center it, yes, you see it's much more centered. Anyway, what the difference makes is that imagine you want to make sure it's on the top left corner of your artboard. You will come here and you will say, I want it on the left and I want it on the top. You see, now it's aligning to the artboard. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. We have this centered, and now we need to move it so it's exactly where we want it. Okay, there we go. Now Command 1 to see all the artboard, and this text I don't want it to be in black, so I'm gonna be using one of these colors, and to do it we can use this eyedropper tool and select any color you like from these ones. And now finally, let's repeat pressing Alt and Shift. You want to move it up, you make sure it's moving on the same direction, and now I'm just simply moving this, making sure there is enough space for the name. And again, we're gonna create a new text, so we're gonna drag here and say this is Mary. And as I told you, I'm gonna be using this other font, Aleo, so I'm gonna be using it in bold. I'm gonna move it here to this area so we can even make it bigger. And if you want to make it all caps, there's always the option to come here to type, change case, and you can do uppercase. And now with the eyedropper again, you can select any other color from our palette and our design is ready. So now all we have to do is take this and duplicate it here and change the name to Albert, let's say, and you can take this to down here and you can say this is that and this is mom. So this is as easy as this. Now you will print it on your printer and you can cut through the lines. Remember, these lines here are just to fold, and you will have your scorecards ready to go. So in case you want to print it at home, which is the most common thing, keep in mind that home printers usually do have some margins, so it means they will not print all the way through the edges of your paper. If that's the case, all you have to do is remember to set up your printing options to be scaled proportionally to fit in the specific margins of your printer. So let me show you how this looks when you print. So we can press Command P to print, and these are the options of my printer. So as you can see, this dot border, it's telling us what's the margin of my printer. And here, when we have the option do not scale, means it's gonna be printing until here, and all the area that it's between this border and the end of the paper will not be printed. So it can happen that this design down here gets cut. To avoid this, all you have to do is come here under scaling or any similar option you have in your printer and select fit to page, scale proportionally, or something like this. So when we say fit to page, you can see that it fits inside the margins. And with that, you are ready to print. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.